Leo here from Innovative Pain Performance. Going to go over some of my personal foam rolling techniques. There's a good article that came out, I think, last night that I posted to my Twitter account. It's sportsdc is the Twitter account, and the article goes over why you don't foam roll your IT band and what structures, what muscles you do foam roll so you can help the IT band. So IT band is that strip of tissue that runs from kind of your hip area down kind of the seam of your pant is the way I kind of identify it for people. It attaches onto the lateral part of your knee here and onto the kneecap as well. So it's an important structure for our walking and running. A lot of things can affect it as far as tightening it up. So we're going to go over just some overall good foam rolling techniques for the whole body, but also it'll be good for any of you out there suffering from some IT band or lateral knee discomfort as well. Because a lot of that lateral knee pain will come from hip issues that you don't even know you have. So if you push up here and it's super tender, it's probably your problem that's causing the lateral knee pain in particular. So we're going to go over some foam rolling do's and don'ts, and obviously if you have any questions, let me know. So after a workout, I always recommend doing some kind of stretching. My recommendations globally is warm up, do your exercise, whatever that is, then stretch and or foam roll, okay? So this is what I personally like to do after my workouts. And again, there's gonna be some things that we don't do, okay? So we're not gonna foam roll the IT band, okay? So that's that lateral strip here. And we're not going to foam roll right here in the lower back. It tends to hurt individuals more than it helps. It doesn't necessarily feel bad in the moment, but it tends to cause more problems, lower back problems for people than helping it. And so I've kind of come up with an idea, maybe it's not a new idea, but a way to avoid causing more harm to your lower back when you're trying to do something good for it, okay? So avoid right around L3, there's 5 lumbar vertebrae, and we're gonna kind of avoid that L3 vertebrae. And I'll show you here right now. So what we're gonna not do, again, not do, is foam roll right on our lumbar spine, just like this. And you can hear me kind of like not enjoying that. It feels kind of awkward and sore. Now, when we get up into this area, you can kind of see me pretty good. So right below, there's that curvature in your spine where your mid back kind of meets your upper back. That's okay. That's kind of where I start my foam rolling routine. So I start in through that section. I'll kind of cradle my head and I'll just kind of extend my body as I'm rocking kind of 2 or 3 vertebrae at a time up as we go. And then you're not really gonna foam roll your neck either, but we can do something to help the neck. But before we get to that part, we're gonna talk about like, what if there's a tight area right in the middle and it's just like, it's just not releasing. Well, what I like to do is I take a deep breath in through the nose, out to the mouth, and then just try to let go even more. And slowly work that spot. There it goes. So if you hear a pop, fine. If you don't hear a pop, fine too, okay? Don't search or, you know, if you don't hear a pop, don't think you're not helping yourself, okay? And if you do hear a pop, don't worry and don't get overexcited either, okay? What that is just you're creating enough gapping between the two joints to create these little air bubbles. There's a more complicated explanation than that, but essentially you're creating a pressure change internally and you're creating this pop, okay? It's not good, it's not bad, it's just kind of along for the ride in most instances, okay? There's some other instances where it's bad, and there's other instances where, yes, it's actually helpful. So, but name of the game for me is always trying to improve mobility, improve function of the spine and the soft tissue around it, okay? So, so starting over, kind of start here and work your way up nice and slow. And so then we get to the neck. And so you don't want to like lay on the neck. This isn't comfortable or helpful. So I still kind of create this arc in my back and I just kind of extend over. So I'm using my legs to kind of support me, but where my hair kind of grows out of, that's kind of pointing to the ground. And then I'll bring my arms up and I'll kind of stretch along the lateral lats and back and arms through this. And so kind of just give it a little rock through here. Spend 20 seconds if you like on there. And then what I'll do is pivot. Now I'm getting a little bit of that kind of posterior rotator cuff, a little bit of the lat. And so then I'm going through. Now this is kind of tender. And when I find a tender spot, I'll kind of sit on it for about 45 seconds to a minute. Trigger point therapy is about a 45 second to a minute time, and then you move on, okay? Don't spend all day on one spot, okay? So then we keep going down. If I don't feel anything, I move on, and I go to the other side. So this is how we get our lower back muscles without being on the lumbar spine itself, okay? So we're avoiding the lumbar spine, particularly at L3, but we're still hitting those lateral back muscles that definitely need it because they're tight on everybody, okay? So spend your time on those areas. Then what I do is I move on to kind of the lateral hip, kind of rock maybe to the front side, maybe keep rocking to the back side. So what I like to term is search and destroy. So I'm using the foam roller to find tender areas to work on, and then I am destroying, in essence, I'm trying to break up those trigger points or break up those adhesive fibers to improve the lengthening of the tissue so then I can feel better, okay? So do it on one side, do it on the other side, and then I'll check my hamstrings. For me, very rarely do the hamstrings bother me, but the calves do a lot. So calves are usually my really tight area, so I usually spend a lot of time on the calves themselves. So now I'll go to the other side, check those areas out, go up, check the other hamstring, then I'll flip, and I'll use the edge of the foam roller and get into more of that anterior hip area in through there. Again, hitting both sides. And then last is what I'll do is help kind of open up the pec muscles. And I call this the foam angel. And essentially, can work on a little balance. We get into this position, tighten the core, squeeze the bum, contract the shoulders down away from the ears. It's not a back motion, it's a downward away from the ears motion, in my opinion. And then you're gonna do palms up, okay? And so then I'll start down here, and I'm feeling pretty tight today. So we'll see how well I can do this. Palms up, back of my hands on the ground, still maintaining that squeezing of my abdominals and my glutes, and I'm going all the way up as far as I can. Now at some point I start lifting. That's not ideal, but it is something that we're going to work towards. So if the hand, and you can't see it, if the hand is starting to come off the ground, that means this is too tight, okay? So this should still be able to stay on the ground all the way up through full range of motion and all the way back down full range of motion without lifting up, okay? So what I'll do is come up in here, do a few passes of this, and then I get to the point of tension, and then I'll just sit and hold, squeeze, and then breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth, and trying to really use that diaphragm, aka belly breathing. And so we're not using the accessory chest muscles, which again is another discussion at another time. But that is my personal foam rolling procedure that I do for myself, and hopefully that is helpful for you. Again, do not foam roll the lower back, spine. Do not foam roll the IT band, and you're not really foam rolling the neck, but you can do something to help with improving that overall curvature of the neck. So if you have questions on that, please let me know. If you have any pain with this, obviously don't do it, but some soreness, tenderness is going to be expected. Any questions, again, let me know, but hopefully that's helpful for you. And just remember, move better.